Jai Mahamaya Ki Jai Vishveshvari Mata Ki Jai. Chapter 11. Narayana said, in this Bharat Varsa, which is India, I am present at the first of all in the shape of the man, at present existing before you. Let you praise me incessantly thus. Narada said, that thou art the Bhagavan obeisance to thee. Thou art completely free from attachment and envy. And thou art the incarnate of Dharma, Jnana, dispassion. No trace of ahamkara, egoism, is in thee. Obeisance to thee. Thou hasn't care nothing about wealth. Thou art the foremost of the family of the Rishi. Thou art Narayan. Thou art the Parama Hamsa, the highest class of ascetics and renunciates in the world. Thou art the highest guru. Thou art happy with thyself and leader of all. I bow to thee. I bow down to thee. Thou art the Lord of all, yet not mixed in the work of creation. Though thou residest in every embodied being, yet no hunger and thirst can press thee. Though thou art the witness, yet thy sight is not at all disturbed by the proximity. Thou art not at all connected, and no desires can come to thee. Thou art the witness. So I bow down to thee. This path of yoga has come out of thee, and it is established in thee. The Bhagavan has given instruction on the cleverness in yoga thus, that leaving aside the egoism of this body, the seed of all evils, the people at last will take resort in the path of bhakti and set their minds on thee, who art beyond the pale of the three gunas. If, like the ignorant person, very much attached to this world as well as the next, the wise pass their time in the thoughts of their sons, their wives, and riches, and ultimately become very pained on the destruction of this body. Persons versed in jnana and ajnana be afraid in the end of their separation from the body, then their study of the sastras and all their labors become labors merely without any effect. When such a thing occurs to the learned, then, O thou, the subduer the knowledge of senses, thou thyself givest us instruction that we may easily think of thee. Then the terrible clinging to this body that thy Maya brings about, and which is very difficult to discard by other means, will leave us quickly. Narada, the seer of all, well qualified with the knowledge of all the tattvas, the foremost of the munis, thus worships and praises Narayana, who is unaffected by any of this leelas, both permanent and impermanent. O Devarsi, I now describe to you the rivers and mountains of this Bharata Varsa, India. Hear attentively. Malaya, Mangala, Prashta, Manaka, Chitrakuta, Rasabha, Kutaki, Kola, Saha, Devagiri, Srisala, Mahendra, Varadara, Suktaman, Pariyatra, Drona, Chitrakuta, Gobahana, Kakuba, Nila, Gormukha, Indrakila, Kamagiri, and many other mountains that cannot be numbered. Great merits accrue on seeing these mountains. Hundreds and thousands of rivers issue from these mountains. Drinking their waters, bathing in them, and visiting them, and singing their praises completely destroy the sins of the mind. The word, and the body. The names of the rivers are Tamraparna, Chandravasa, Votodaka, Vayasi, Kaveri, Vina, Payasvani, Tungabhadra, Sharkara, Vartaka, Godavari, Bhimarati, Payosnika, Tapi, Reva, Sarasa, Narmada, Saraswati, and the Indus, Anda, and Som, Trisanma, Vedasmrita, Mahandi, Yamuna, Mandakini, Gomati, Sarayu, Saptabati, Sasama, Vitasta, Asikna, and Vishva, and many other rivers. Those persons that take their baths in these rivers enjoy the divine, human and lower enjoyments as the effects of their karmas in accordance with their sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic qualities. All the inhabitants of this varsa take their baths in accordance with the rules of their varnas, their castes respectively, and enjoy beatitudes as dictated in the sastras. The propounders of the Vedas, the rishis and the devas, declare that the varsas, as the grace of God, is easily obtained here. They say, oh, what an amount of good works the inhabitants of the Bharata Varsa did in their previous lives, that by their influence the Bhagavan Hari, Vishnu, has become pleased with them without their having any sadhanas, good yogic practices. Therefore, we also desire to have our births there. For there, if we be born amidst the persons there, we would be able to serve Vishnu in every way. What will sever austerities, gifts, sacrifices, and practicing vows avail to us? What will severe austerities, gifts, sacrifices, and practicing vows avail us, even if we go to heaven? What benefits will we derive there? Then we would never be able to bring our mind to the lotus feet of the Bhagavan Vishnu. Our taste for some sense enjoyments would increase, and we would be wholly deprived of Bhagavan. Far better to be born here in the Bharata Varsa as short-lived persons than to acquire other places where one can live up to periods of kalpas and then be reborn. For the intelligent people of Bharata, getting their mortal coil, can within a short period devote themselves to the Bhagavan Vishnu and be free from rebirth. That place is never to be visited and served, even if that be Svargaloka, where the nectar-like ocean of the sayings of the Vaikuntha are not heard, where there are no assemblages of saints who take refuge in the lotus feet of Bhagavan, where the great sacrifices and festivities of the Bhagavan Vishnu are not celebrated. Those persons that do not try for moksha when they get human births and when they possess jnana, kriya, methods of doing sacrifices and other works for the help of jnana, and dravya, materials for those sacrifices, are certainly like beasts and get themselves repeatedly entangled into bondages. The people of Bharata Varsa offer oblations to Indra and other deities, invoking their names separately with proper rules, mantras, and sacrifices. But the all-sufficient Bhagavan Vishnu, the giver of all blessings, accepts those very gladly. True that he grants unto the people what they ask from him, but he hardly gives anybody the paramartha, the highest goal. The reason being that the people ask again and again after receiving what they had asked. So he gives of himself his own lotus feet to those who, having abandoned all their desires, worship him and him only with the idea of love. Thus, we are living happily in the heavens as the fruit of the Istapurta that we performed fully. Yet we want that we may also be born in Bharata Varsa, with our memory all renewed with the thought of the Bhagavan Vishnu. The Bhagavan residing in the Bharatvarsa awards the highest welfare to his inhabitants. Narayana said, O Davarsi, thus the Devas of the heavens, the Siddhas, the highest rishis, sing this excellent merits of this Bharatvarsa. Here ends the 11th chapter of the 8th book on the description of the continents on the Bharatvarsa in the Mahapuran Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharishi Veda Vyasa. Jai Mahamaya ki, Jai Vishveshvarimata ki, Jai Bole Baba ki, Jai.